Yes. So at this point, we are into this roof repairs workspace. We have already done our market research. We are talking about one specific buyer persona in mind, as is Charles. He's a 45-year-old homeowner with 10 years of home roof under he's living seems leaking, right? And he's looking for a roof repair company.
And
And
one of his attributes, pain points, is that he's skeptical. He doesn't want to get ripped off.
right,
And he wants to make a good choice because it's information overload out there and he doesn't know what to believe.
right,
So we've got him built out. We got some of his attributes built out. We have his pain points built out. So now we're moving on to content creation.
right.
And as far as I'm concerned, I have another tool here that's way better for finding all the questions related to that.
And I'm here talking to Randy, who is 20 plus
Sorry.
years of experience with SEO.
Hello,
So
all.
we are really trying to make sure that we combine these two words together, the word of SEO and the word where we can really be specific and compelling to one specific target audience in mind, right? So you're going to pull a keyword, right? Which
Yeah,
you think,
just for the sake of demonstration, without getting in depth and actually trying to find something that I would personally pick, but you could go with let's see. Yeah, that must be. It looks like it's going to be relatively low volume, but I think that that's deceptive in my tool. I'm using Ahrefs Keyword Explorer,
Mhm.
and it's just really not as smart as Google. But the question I would say we can start for demonstration purposes is how much do roof leak repairs cost?
How much
Do roof or yeah, roof leak repairs cost?
Cool. So this is our main topic of interest. This is also going to pull all the data on the SERP when we go into content. So that's good because this is the key to link the research that we did, right? The buyer persona research on, and our buyer persona in this case is a fictional character, Charles Adam. He's 45-year-old. And this topic is really going to link the SERP data and the research that we have done. So now our initial content idea, what do you think? Idea is to write a blog, right? Or what would you do being an SEO? Like it will be blog or landing page, or let's start with a blog, right?
Okay, sounds good.
Right. So write write a blog article explaining different costs and costs associated with roof repairs. So of course we are going to focus still on the cost that are associated with roof repairs in this article. And then what problem does this solve for Charles? Here we can be really specific. So what you can see already that we have picked up a topic which is a winning topic for us as per our SEO strategy. We are writing a blog focusing on the different costs associated with roof repairs. Now here we are focusing on Charles, and you mentioned about a couple of things, Randy, right? That what we can talk about as a problem
Attributes
of
of Charles, yes.
attribute of Charles. So what do you say?
He's skeptical. He's afraid of being ripped off.
Yes. So this blog article is going to help Charles. Let's use Charles and we'll see if really comes up like that. To understand the roof repairs cost in a transparent manner. in a transparent manner so that he is assured, and correct me if I'm making some mistakes here. So he's assured that he is not getting ripped off, and he is able to save text because he's tech savvy on this construction, right? It's one of the also concern of the Charles as an attribute that
I
he,
didn't see that part, but yeah, that's fine.
yes, is able to deduct text on
Oh,
the roof,
it was in another field. Yeah, you're right.
right? He's able to deduct cost of roof repair from text, and I'm putting in and but doesn't matter. It's more like our initial seed, and I can go not like a paragraph here, but just try to connect 2 or 3 attributes that I think will be quite good and resonating with Charles.
Yep.
So for this demo purpose, let's stick to this. I can change country, of course. This was done. This research was based on US as a country. Let's pull the data also from US in this case. So what's going to happen in the first instance is that we are still creating an outline of a blog. And this outline, we are going to still consider it as an initial, very, very high level understanding of how we are going to talk about this. So introduction, of course, we need to pick it up. We don't have enough information to write an introduction, so I'll pull it up in a second. Introduction. In the blog, we are going to focus on cost of a new roof. So Charles, now you see it's already, we are addressing Charles. Charles, one of, we are talking to Charles actually here in the second sentence. Charles, one of the most important roofing repairs is re-roofing. Are you with me, Randy?
Yeah, I am. It's real noisy here, so I've been muting it.
Sure.
I just
So,
wanted to point out that, yeah, at this point, you're going to want to develop your writing style.
right.
Are you going to go technical point by point, or are you going to incorporate all this in a common down to earth language, et cetera? But yeah, the cost of the new roof. I think I wouldn't put that first. I think I would first start talking to Charles about his concerns, such as, maybe start out with something like, we get it. It's a risky business, inquiring about roof repairs, and you never know what company is going to rip you off, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's a few things you can think about that will help you pick out a company, or whatever it is, break it down, talk in his language, and then start breaking down information that he can use. So you want to
Right.
capture them first, and then you can get technical. I wouldn't start out
Yeah.
technical.
No, sure. So what I said in the beginning was there is introduction here, and then we will be talking about cost of a new roof, examples of cost, and then conclusion. This is very
And
high
then
level.
he didn't want just a new roof. He wanted wasn't it a metal? We might have to bounce back and forth, but it could, there is an ever increasing popularity in metal roofs. So
Yeah.
we could say cost of new metal roof, or cost of new metal roof versus traditional roof. We could
Right.
start out in any one of those directions.
Or it also, when I press the headline intros, it suggests me a couple of things to start. So this introduction.
Now, is he interested in a metal roof, or is he just interested in a newer technology roof?
And as a writer, of course, you can also write that down here. So what did you say? Can you repeat again?
I was trying to remember back what he was looking for. He represents a percentage of the populations of the
Yes.
search volume. So if I think he wanted to replace the old asphalt shingle,
Yeah, with the
with
new
something else. With
new metal shingles.
Yeah,
New
and then he used something about more newer technology or modern technology roof. Yeah.
Looking for new modern metal shingles to replace the old roof. That's something that he is looking, right? We can start off this, but also there are a couple of suggestions to start. So how to get a roof, new roof at a reasonable price. That this can also be an interesting start of this article. And I, of course, it depends on a writer's style and your
Mhm,
own
mhm.
idea, because each writer will pick up a different style. I'll also pull
You kind of
some.
got to pick an attribute
Yeah.
that is dominating. So, like for instance, if I were to say his skepticism and concern about being ripped off, let's say I made that his number one attribute, that I'm gonna really say that's number one. Then
Mhm.
I might phrase the H1, the main one, as how to upgrade to a metal roof without getting ripped off, or something like that. Because I'm like, boom, I'm hitting that
Right.
exactly what he's looking for. Now,
So
if it's another predominant attribute about him that is in the paranoia, which I don't want to call it paranoia because it's healthy, right? Because you don't want to get ripped off. But if another attribute was budget, then I might I want to make that the number one attribute. Then I might say how to upgrade to a metal roof on a shoestring budget, something like that. Something that speak his language immediately to capture his attention. That's
yeah,
the whole purpose of personas, is that you're speaking to them.
something like that, right? You can also start your own question, because it's a lot of tools are here with your own creativity. I pulled up these two also. And as you keep developing your article, most of the time you're not pushing buttons, but your juices are really coming, like in your mind. You're creative, right? And you're thinking where to start, what to start. And once you start putting the things here in a structure, you might shuffle it a couple of times to get the basic structure. So it's not replacing your still traditional conventional style of writing, but it's giving you all the data point at one place, and ability to pull that data point from your research and to make it all the time as specific as possible. Even if
Another
I
way of saying that would be that is that you can use your writing style, but this tool is to help you develop the persona to understand your audience so that you can write specifically to them.
Right, right. So there are a couple of things like I can also start by writing my own heading here, and I say "Ask me, Athena." Then it will write in a small summary. So roofs are not all the same; they are different price, warranties, and workmanship, and that can be my starting point to mention it. And if I am lazy bit, I will still keep this another option to complete it or write more about it, and then I can keep developing. Different roofing companies have different prices, warranties, and workmanship. Some of these things can be seen from the company's website or from reviews on the other website. Or maybe this is my starting point: how to get a new roof at a reasonable price. The first step is to identify the type of roof you have. Makes sense? If you are not sure what type of roof you have, it is easy to identify by looking at the shingles. It's important, right? All the topics, things, it is still picking up from our research. If your roof has asphalt shingles, then it is most likely a single ply roof. Now, this is not the part of the research, but it somehow pulled these topics into the content, and now it's writing in a more creative way. And maybe this will sort of quite resonate. I'm not Adam, but I hope that we are talking as language still here. This means that
There
each.
is there is, and one of the things that as a developing hold on.
Looks like you muted yourself.
Sorry about that. I've got
No
three
worries.
kids that just walked through the door, so
No
it was
worries. No
about to get
worries.
noisy.
No worries.
But yeah. So one of the things I've been contemplating as I develop my copywriting skills is that do sometimes you can lose people when you start educating them about stuff they already know. So you want to decide if your persona already knows what they have, because you can write a lot of language, and you notice a lot of SEO geared articles will start out that way. Somebody will ask a question, and then you got to go through 4 paragraphs to get to the answer to your question, because can I make money off of eBay? And then the first thing is, what is eBay? It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't want you to tell me what eBay is. And you just
Yeah.
spent 3 paragraphs doing that because you can tell it's an SEO article, because it's got a lot of filler in there that I never even. So does Charles know what he has already? Does Charles know that he has shingles? Do you really want to go how far? If you do want to touch on, this would be, and this is fine because you may have a general audience that don't know what they have, and this will tell them what to go look for. But you could also start off with already knowing that Charles knows what he has. So if your persona is smart, he knows what he has, he's not dumb, then you could skip this and kind of go into immediately into the cost of a new metal roof or an upgrade of something like that.
Yeah, so here it was like cost of a new roof. You can also directly start with a smart intro here and say, hey, Charles, one of the most important roofing repair is re-roofing. This is when your roof will be removed completely and replaced with a brand new roof. This process takes time along with added effort to remove any superficial damage to the existing building exterior while avoiding water damage at all cost. So it is educating Charles, maybe he overlooked or underestimated that when they remove the roof and he's looking for a new roof, then there's some thing that also need to be taken care, right? Remove any superficial damage to the existing building exterior. That is also important when you place a new roof. Luckily for you, there are many affordable options that will provide you with a complete roof replacement job. Examples of cost. There are 3 types of roofing that are easiest to replace are the asphalt shingles, metal, and tile. Metal roof have a 30-year warranty with expected wind life of 40 years. This is most expensive, blah, 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 right? So there are different ways. And another thing that I want to address your concern was um, about the SEO, right? So it also pulls some articles which are ranking on top, right? And now what we can see that we can also build our structure from there. You don't want to take them as it is. You wanted to retype them or retry them. But one of these article will definitely resonate quite well with what we are trying to achieve here. So for example, this, how much does it cost to repair roof leaks? Leaky roof repairs cost by material, cost to repair roof leaks, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this particular article is talking about roof leak repair cost. Yeah, okay.
Right. But suppose being as a writer, you find that this has a quite correlation with what I want to achieve. You can still take this approach, builds this outline, and you can continuously ask me Athena, and this ask me Athena will always write not from this competitor content, but from what you have already in your research.
The detail database, yeah.
The database, because then we are not touching any sort of plagiarism here, because we are writing still uniquely based on the research that we had. And there is another way here. So one of your idea was that you wanted to beat the competition, right? One of the idea is to understand what type of questions they are answering, right? And you want to make sure that you convert their text into questions, what questions they are answering, and then you wanted to try those answers in the specific context of your research without sending this information to the language model. And that's quite different from rest of the other tools, because they pull the information from Google and then still they use this information to send to the language model and generate answers. Then still you're going to answer those same question in the same way this your competitors has answered. But in this case, when I'm going to answer the question, I'm only framing the question from my competitor, but the answer is going to be from my research using the data of my research. And of course, when the question is general, it will answer general, but the thing is also you can modify this question now. So if you have come across like 3-4 positions on top ranking, and you have seen that, hey, they have answered something But no, I wanted to answer something different, which is quite unique to Charles.
Now, can you
So,
add your own H2 in here too, or no?
like, I mean, you can change this. So
No, I
what
mean the H2s, the original kicked out stuff. Can you add your own H2?
you mean here, or
Change the parameters of it. Yeah, like instead of leaky roof repair costs,
Mhm.
how about leaky roof? How about leaky shingle roof repair cost by material or something like that? Can you change that or no?
Yeah, you can change. So you can change here. So I had here, right, leaky roof repair, or let's say leaky. Uh,
Shingle roof.
yes, shingles roof repair cost by material,
It's just
and then
singular. It's
and I can say how much is leaky shingles repair cost by material, and then I can say ask me Athena,
there you go. Okay, you would
and
just do it
then
over there instead of on the right. Gotcha.
yeah, you just change this the way you would like to represent in your article. It will bring you some information, then you can further extend this information by
Yeah, it
another
sounds like one of
write
those
me.
like, yeah, need more input.
Yeah, write me Athena. With much information to respond. So, but the way is same, right? You can change it here, or you can convert this piece into text, and you can also change this question the way you want, which should represent the way your writing style or the way you wanted to talk to Charles. And then it will answer based on this. If it is descriptive, then it will, of course. I didn't know that there's a cedar shingles also. How
Yeah,
much?
and how is it curating these questions? Is it just from the database, or is it also doing any kind of validation as far as the legitimacy of that question in Google?
So the question is prepared from this content, which is ranking already in the Google. So I would not question the
Okay, so it's a
legitimacy of
variant
this.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I will assume that this question, Google, this content, Google has considered quite good, and I'm just translating this content into some
A
questions.
question,
Yes,
a question that it would be relative to that answer.
right, right. And relative to this content, which is ranking already on Google. So I'm only using this content to create a question like this. I can change this question also and then generate answer. But when I generate this answer right here, it is not taking this context into account at all. This is just creative, just generating a new creative answer based on the data I have in my own research.
Yeah, I like that. That's actually a pretty
So
decent start on an answer.
So that means that I'm not copying my competitor strategy, even though I'm answering same type of question, but I'm not copying them, their style. I'm
Now, there's
copying,
a difference between copying their strategy and difference
yeah,
between copying them word for word and plagiarizing. You
right.
want to copy their strategy, but you want to copy and beat it.
Yeah. So here, maybe you're saying we are copying their strategy, but we are beating them by writing it to become more specific and compelling
We get
to Charles. Yeah.
niching down a little bit more on the question. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yep. And in this case, it would be, you could decide whether Charles has shingle or cedar shingle or traditional shingles. I mean, um, at that point, I'd probably go with the one that is more popular, which is probably, the traditional shingles, the little tar ones or whatever you call them. The cedar shingles are going to be really niching down, which is
Yeah.
perfectly fine if that's what you want to aim for, especially if you're writing an article and if you represent a company doing the SEO for a company that likes to push the cedar
Mhm.
shingle installations and replacements
Right.
or repair as well. But yeah, that's something you have to decide when you're executing this article. So yeah, I
Right.
think that we talked to, just so everyone knows, we talked for about an hour or so before we even started recording, just to hash out to get to this point. Um, but one of the things that I wanted to see more of was writing the content creation toward what specifically with your persona in mind. And taking the information that CrawlQ gives you, what would you say, Harish, would you say that how much writing do you have to do versus how much writing CrawlQ is going to do for you? You think it's 50-50, or can you squeeze a little bit more out of Athena than that?
I mean, it will depend, but in my opinion, it will be 70-30, sometimes 60-30. It depends on how resourceful you are and to what extent you wanted to go very specific, right? So again, it will depend on person to person. Some people might be just pressing the button and they might get a decent result, but not sure it might be good enough, or that is will be ranking well in Google, right? Or maybe super specific to Charles. But here there is a score. That's what I wanted to talk. So whenever you're developing your content, you can refresh this, and we are still like developing this, but this score should tell you that you are quite going okay with the direction that you're taking with this article, like how much semantically similar you're writing in this piece of content to your original research. I mean, still at 66%, which is quite decent, and that means that, wow, expect you're going to get yes from Fred. More of this information, because at any point of time, my database is in front of me, right? If you are familiar with some SEO writing assistant like SEMrush, you have some sort of listed keywords, and you're always looking if I have put that keyword in my H1 tag, H2 tag, conclusions, right? That's how some of the people are used to SEO optimize their content. Here, you are Fred optimizing your content, and
Yeah,
when
which
you're Fred optimizing, you're looking at these problems, pain points that you have written before, and if you use these more sentences, you don't need to just you can just type in here, like you can come back here and can say single big benefit, and you just say write ask me Athena or write me Athena. It will pull up the context from there, and then you can further extend on it. So this way you are creating content which is super specific to your research, right? And you can keep on doing this, then your score will keep increasing. It's not idea to make this a score like 100% or something. That's not also good. I mean, if it's in this range, then you're good to go, right? You know that I have developed something which is actually in the direction of the research that I did. And in most of the SEO optimization, it's also the case. You you make choices of some specific keywords and topics that you wanted to cover throughout your article, and then you can score it how much the coverage is there. You don't also want to stuff those with in a style which is called keyword stuffing. Similarly here, you don't want to create a conversation which is kind of stuffed with the actual data, but this data should be just used as an question, insights, and conversational points around your content that you're talking to Charles directly.
yeah, and if have you ever used the OBS recording software on the computer?
Yeah, I have it.
You recall the sometimes when you're showing one window, how you get the infinite windows? It's like it starts cascading. It's just like an into infinity because
Yeah, yeah, I
that's
recognize
that's
it.
what happens to my mind when I start thinking of developing personas for people who would use CrawlQ. It's like developing personas for people who want to develop the personas for, et cetera, et cetera. It's infinite loop. But my point is that the CrawlQ will accommodate two, in my mind, two styles of people who are writing that are creating personas. And one is it will accommodate the traditional SEO agency, the writers who are really just trying to, I won't use the word lazy, I'll use the word be more efficient in expediting creation of articles, and because they may have a deadline and they don't, like 30 articles in 1 month, and they're really not going to spend a whole lot of time on each article. They're really just going to go by SEO numbers, volume, keyword difficulties, and some other factors. And then if they're smart, if they're good at what they do, then they're going to want to also incorporate in subjects that are related, topics that are related, keywords that are related. They want to semantically be able to cover those things. But so Athena or CrawlQ will cover that style of SEO writing. But the other part that I like about it is it will also accommodate the people who are like, I'm not going to write anything brainlessly like that. I'm a copywriter. I want to do some writing too. So this is an aid for that type of copywriter as well, who is not interested in um, cranking out a bunch of mindless stuff just to rank. They actually want to write because they're being paid to write.
Right.
And so that's what I like about CrawlQ, because it accommodates both the efficiency SEO person, and it also accommodates the copywriter who does enough copywriting that to have an aid like this would really take a load off their mind, lift the weights off their shoulders just to be able to get some content going. But they may spend more. They may be the person in here that's wanting to put their own verbiage in here more than the guy who's an SEO in the agency that really just wants to kick out as much as possible without having too much intervention. It will accommodate both, but in every AI content creation software as a service, you're going to have interaction. I mean, some people are like, "Oh, it's putting out gobbledygook." Well, okay, but it's also produced about 60% of what you wouldn't have thought of either. So there's always going to be a little work, but I like it. It accommodates both styles of CrawlQ personas.
And one more area where people are new to blogging, and obviously, even if you are experienced blogger and if you like structures, then you can pick up many of these templates. And these templates are at different stages of your market research. Some of them might work, like if I'm targeting cold outreach on LinkedIn.
Yep,
Then
this is
maybe
the copyright students area.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
where this is where if you're not just, again, you're not just trying to brainlessly kick out stuff, but you really want to learn article structure, blog structure, and you want to start out with some sales templates. It's already been validated in the market is working. Then come in here and take a look around and pick something out, because these are all validated structures that you can't go wrong by using them.
right,
And it's also integrated with Athena too, because this is all integrated with Athena. So when you highlight it, Athena knows what, and you tell it to write it for me or whatever. Athena knows what it's going to use the database to answer that question for you. So I
right.
find that really awesome.
So the idea was I can just copy the template from there, and it is rewritten in the way that sort of Athena understands. So this is the same language that we are using, right, inside the Athena, like main topic of interest, desire, single big problem. And when I write this, I can just first create an outline or a structure based on these instructions, like ask me Athena, and then expand this using write me Athena. And then there are instruction in small letters to reader also, so make sure that you produce content. We don't get much or blank, that means you have to write it. No, that doesn't mean. I think that has gone wrong at this stage, but most of the time it understand the
And you
language.
can whip through these once you get a lot of these things. You look at them at first and they look complicated. So, oh man, but once you get the hang of it, you whip through this quick. I mean, because the AI is doing most of the work.
Right.
You mean to come back and clean it up? You need to, you will have to come in and interact with it and chop out stuff and try it again. But you can whip out this structure, this template. I'd say in 10 minutes if you're just highlighting saying go, and so it's not as complicated as it looks.
Right. It's like expanding on this. So we said, what is a single big problem? So most 30-year shingles do not last 30 years in perfect condition without ideal conditions. And if you remember, that is one of the research statement was there in the market research that we did. So all the time when I'm covering problems, we will be very super specific in terms of this. So one of the shocking statement was most 30-year shingles do not last 30 years in perfect condition. It exactly pulled this information as a problem also, right? And that's a good way to make sure that whatever you're writing, right, it has a connection with your research. Single big feature again, shingles with warranties. This is one of the features, and then of course you can develop it as a writer. So there is a way to really stay attached uh, and well connected to your original research. You cannot go sort of haywire or in a random direction. And this
And
one
this is
actually,
general information. Again, this is information that applies to the entire niche, not necessarily to the
Charles.
persona.
Mhm.
So let's say that you have built 4 personas for the keyword roof repair costs. You've built 4 personas because you want to write to 4 different people and make sure you cover everybody. This information down here is more like what you can use in all 4 personas. Whereas in the beginning, when you begin, the structure of your article or whatever you're writing specifically for Charles, this stuff here is a lot that it's going to be reused. Just make sure you don't repeat yourself in all 4 personas. Just write it a little different each time. But yeah, I like that. That template is pretty darn neat.
Right. So the again basic idea here is to extend on this, like work on this, and then keep expanding your own style of writing using these different tools. You have Write Me Athena, you have this question answer system, you have Ask Athena. Then of course you can refer back to different things here. Sometime it also pulls out the questions if they're in the Quora, and then you can also answer them in the relevant context of your research. It also
How do you
pull
get
out.
those to populate?
In this case, it was it.
There
Um,
wasn't much that came back from that.
yeah,
Okay.
from Quora, but some if I
What if we
change,
rephrase that real quick? Or we
yeah,
don't change our main topic if we alter it at this point, do we?
we can change here. Like if
Roof repair costs. I mean, it's make it short enough that we definitely get something back from Cora.
yeah, let's try that. So at this stage, obviously, we are not going to, lose anything. It's
We
just
won't lose
we
anything. Okay. So we
we
don't actually have to worry about hitting save, or should we get in the habit of hitting save up
is automated saved after a few seconds. It's
there?
just
Okay, cool.
it's getting saved, and this is also available as a document if you skip it outside and go back.
Now this over here, this Cora under the questions, was it under questions? Where was that
Yeah,
Cora?
it was under the
That's your
question.
audience. That's sort of like your audience intelligence there. That's
Yeah,
that's similar to just smaller tools, but at least it's incorporated. Um,
it has pulled many of them now. So cost of what is the cost of roof repair in California? What is the real cost of roof repairs in the United States, New Jersey? How can you repair roof damage without cost on your own? And now when I press answer,
and
this
you can put your
answer,
own state and city in there too. So if you don't have to use United States, New Jersey, you can put in your own city. So or you can say in Indiana or in wherever Netherlands, wherever you're at. So
yeah, you can change it here like this or in Amsterdam, and then you can just ask it to write. So you can always edit these questions, and you can
and that's really audience intelligence. It's not necessarily a ranking factor. It's just but it is something that people have asked.
yeah.
Oh, there's even an answer there. Cool.
Right. I hope it is based on the Amsterdam groups. How do I figure out a
So
leak?
when you altered the question, it kicked out an answer more relative, or because that was California, wasn't it?
It was California.
So it
And
actually kicked out a different answer because when you altered the question, that's amazing.
of course, it will change something and not.
It's like, well, where did you pull that out of? That's definitely not what was answered in Cora because it was a California related question.
Right, right.
So it's actually pulling that answer. That's not pulling a core answer. Then that's
No, no.
actually AI
AI,
adjusting to your tampering with the question.
right. AI is trying to answer based on the information that you have.
You didn't trick her. You knew exactly what you was doing.
Yes. And maybe there are some good news articles which are also getting covered. I don't know what
Yep.
Forbes has to do with everything.
It's just
Guys,
another audience intelligent data point. Yep.
yeah. So you can pull some informative things that you wanted to cover from the news articles. Though here it's not like this. It's the same way as SERP data, but you can go back to that article. What I would do sometime is I'll copy that article here and start breaking it down and
So
rewriting
these are
some parts.
actual links, then that would take you straight to the article.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if I'm kind of a researcher and
There you go. And there's your research article.
if I like this part of the article, or if I just take this,
Minor repairs, major repairs. That's big
yeah,
for the cost of roof repair.
right. I'll take this something, and not that I wanted to copy as it is, but I can keep as a reference to my research, and then I can try to answer these questions again in terms of what I have done as a research. Maybe it will come, or I have to say list me 3 minor repairs or list me major repair. I can change them, right? But at least um, you can still get this information here and try to reconstruct it. And not exactly is going to repeat that article, but it will try to give you
Yeah.
a
And this is
represent.
this is really breaking this is really breaking into technical answers to very specific questions. This may not be applicable every time you write an article. You may want to summarize and say, there's a spectrum of possibilities in your areas. I mean, you may want to just say, hey, it could be anywhere from $150 to 3,000 without knowing the variables. You're just not going to know. But this is more of a technical answer. That this is why it's a national website. Forbes is covering it's a national, because there's no way for them to know. Every demographic area, medium, et cetera, is going to be a factor in how much it's going to cost for
Mhm.
minor repairs and bigger repairs. But it's very helpful. If you see bits and pieces in here as SEO or even copywriters during the research, we we have a tendency to not to like to waste anything. At least I don't. I'm looking at this and it's a well-formed answer, then I'm going to be using it. I'm not going to copy it, but I'm going
Mhm.
to use the structure, and I'm going to there's no really reason to reinvent the wheel.
Right. So you can go as far as you like, right? But it really depends on what you wanted to achieve with this, how
Yep.
much time and effort you wanted to put into
Yeah.
it.
If you're going for, what do you call it, a skyscraper post or a pillar post, and that's something else. That's an SEO lesson in and of itself. But you're gonna be careful what you're cramming into one article, because you may want to cover other aspects of the minor repairs, roof repair cost, in a cluster of articles, all pointing to your main article or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a different lesson in of itself. But
So at each data point, you can ask, write or extend the current writing. Just like I again pull this introduction and start saying like, what are the potential leakage? What are the potential leakages in a roof? How do you know when it is time to replace your roof? And I can go on like this
yeah,
and
and that's a
ask.
good segue. Because so you start covering you start answering the question. You're talking to Charles. You're
Yes.
answering his questions. He's concerned about the X, Y, and Z, and so you answer those questions. Then you start giving him some technical answers, because that's what he's really looking for, right? He wants to know the cost. Um, and so you give him the technical answer, but then there's a point where you can say, hey, if your repairs equal, 2 or 3 thousand or more, at what point is it a better idea just to replace the roof?
Right, something like that. So it was not like the answer like this, but it can give you some idea, right? So I don't know, last thing I pulled up something and it gave me like three major repair costs. So
Yep.
12,000 to 17,000. Now this is
Hmm.
exactly something will come to my mind. Hey, if this is 17,000, can't we make 2,000 more and completely remove the roof and put a new one, right? That could
Hmm.
also be my idea to write it. So again, for people who are more into the like push button and get the blog and or quickly
Hmm.
write product description, I think there are already quite valuable tools out there in the market.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you're serious and wanted to really create research based content which is speaking to buyer persona, but at the same time you're in your research, you also make sure that you take care of the SEO perspectives like volumes or you know better how to describe it. You put initially in our discussion to measure propositions, like how we are going to validate that
That
the
Charles
person,
represents a percentage of the population that's using
right,
that query, so that when you're not really writing to one person out there, that would be a waste of time.
right.
You're writing to a percentage of people who represent Charles. So um, that you're going to get volume, you're going to get traffic, you're going to get you're answering a lot of people. That's what persona is all about. But yeah, that's exactly right. Or if you're a copywriter that doesn't want a mindless process. Athena's CrawlQ is good for that too, because it kicks out a lot of relevant ideas that are based on both the internal database that you're creating when you create the persona, but also on external resources such as the first 20 or so in the results in the SERP that we know is ranking. So we know that the content in there is ranking. So just writing on something that is in there is going to make it relevant. And similar to the top ranking articles. So but you might want to be more hands-on. You might not want a mindless process. You might want to say, I want all these ideas to kick. You can see all the ideas that's kicking out for you. I mean, if you got
Right.
writer's block, you can Athena solves that for you. It's like you don't need to think about anything but answering these questions.
And in some of the teams, especially larger teams, when there is a proper content strategy in place, most of the time there are domain experts, and those domain experts might be working with this kind of content sketch or content brief, right?
Hmm.
When I generate content brief, it also provide me all the headlines that I have used, introduction, niche. It's going to fill up me some information. Then I can restructure this information, being as a content strategist, and then I can give it to my SEO guy who is going to do a further layer of optimization on this content.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if CrawlQ is in the hands of those people, they can work in a team in a collaborative manner. So one person can focus being as a content strategist more on the buyer persona research. Then another person who is more into content creation can create these content briefs and fill up some details. And then finally, a person who is an SEO strategist can take it and optimize it and publish it and make sure that links are proper, like external references are proper.
And
There is
let
a
us know down in the comments who you are. How are you using Crawl Q? Are you the, are you, which persona do you fit into as far as how you're using Crawl Q, whether you're helping you with copywriting your material and where you're going to be doing just as equal amount of writing yourself, or whether you're the person who just wants to kick out as many ideas and have a close to a complete article written for you by
right.
the AI.
Mhm. What we have not touched, and maybe we should make a second episode on this, is really talking about these copywriting scripts and the big headline, like kind of letters, sales letters. And this is also quite a good area where we can cover one more episode of of this recording or this conversation Okay, where we will deep dive into this, and this is very interesting area because just to
Yeah,
give you
we haven't
some.
touched into
No,
emails and landing pages and
no.
sales samurai scripts and things like that.
So what happens here is this is again based on the question answer system. So you answer like your main topic. Again, you can be very conscious of the SEO that you wanted to make sure that you use the right topic here. What happens here is like you provide some three, four answers to this question, and then you can do fill with AI. Now, it's an initial investment. If you go and make sure that your answers are correct and they should be as expected based on the example, when you save this information also goes into the database. And
Nice.
then when you create a new sales letter, AI already understand the pattern and the quality will dramatically improve the next time. But
I like that.
for this, you need to invest some time here so that you make sure that the answers are accurate. It's a one-time effort, but then you can spin off several different types of sales letter because AI has tuned to that pattern. It's like it start understanding that pattern, that those answers and the questions. So there are different types of sales letters, video scripts. The first one I can show you, it has 150 questions. So even if you start here and you make sure that all these 150 questions you have answered correctly, it might take you maybe half an hour, 45 minutes to make sure that they are correct, right? But once you have done this, you have sorted out your copywriting, your email, your everything, because it is going to give you very, very good quality outline in the first draft. And then you can again use the same approach that we have just done in the AI content writer.
Yeah, this is not a one and done. This by filling out this information, it looks to me that you could go on to create 50 documents from the information that's retained in that.
Yeah.
You certainly wouldn't want to answer 150 questions for one document. It's like, no, one article, no, thank you. That's a bit much. But if you're building that database up so that that it's going to help you in the long run over 50 to 100 documents or articles, I should say. I don't want to documents more of a tech term for inside of the dashboard here, but um, articles and blogs, then you will want to take the time to fill as many of those questions out.
Right. So I think that was this
The scope of what we were
the
looking
scope of
for.
the conversation. We started with this, right?
Yeah.
And I hope this is quite useful to everyone listening here. And I think we can make this series continuous. With the next one, we can pick up another topic, and maybe we can focus more on that time on the sales scripts and how they work and how Athena understand the context.
And
Yeah.
please let
So
us know what you would like to see. If you do not be ashamed or hesitant, if there's a topic that you'd like to see more of, just comment below.
great, great. So thank you again, Randy, for your time.
Thank you,
It
Harish.
was amazing, every conversation that I have with you, and it also helped me to explore more and more ideas, and sometime able to explain the unexplored potential of CrawlQ still. So I'm
Oh,
sure
there's
more.
more to explore and more
Yes,
potential.
right, right. So thank you again,
Thank
and
you.
have a nice day ahead there.
You too.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye bye.